Hey everyone, it's Mike here again, and just like in the last module, I wanted to give you a prelude into this video. This video you're about to watch right now is actually the second half of the training video from the last module that we shot for the gluten intolerance audience, and it has to do with the nervous system. And again, this is a very critical part in the overall healing of your child, and we wanted to pass the information along to you and let you know that, again, the information you're going to hear in this video is going to apply directly to your case. And as I mentioned before, it's going to, whether it's seizures, whether it's ADD, anxiety, autoimmune condition, whatever it is, the same principles are going to apply in terms of correcting the symptoms and the overall cause. So please watch this video. There's a lot of content in there. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Thanks.
And why is the nervous system so important when it comes to food allergies and gluten intolerance? Well, the nervous system, the anatomic nervous system, has what I call like two modes of functioning here. So I'm gonna draw a little light switch. Think of it like a light switch where your light is either flipped on or flipped off, right? So when the light is flipped on, that is a correlation to what we call the sympathetic nervous system response. And when you're in sympathetic response mode, that means all of the sensory perception is heightened. Your sense of smell, your sense of touch, your sense of taste and hearing, and what is the other one I'm missing? Vision. I said vision, but the five senses, they're all on high alert. So when this is turned on high, your body's resources and energy is focused on perceiving your environment. And why is that? Well, that's also known as the fight or flight or freeze response, the adrenaline response. And it's really kind of back to caveman days when we used to have to fight and flee for survival, right? We had to really be aware of our environment because there was a lot potential for life-threatening danger. When this is triggered, your body's resources are all focused on supporting large gross motor movement in case you have to run to save your life. If a tiger is chasing you, you better be on your heels fast. Or if a boulder is in your way and you got to move it over. These large gross motor movement is storing energy. And then the another piece is, like I said, the sensory perception. Being able to hear, was that an animal? Was that a fox that I heard in the ruttling grass over there, or anything like that. So your body's focus is all on life-saving energy. Now the other side of it is if you were to flip your light switch off, that's called the parasympathetic mode or the parasympathetic response in the nervous system. And when you're on off mode, that is actually when your body has the ability to focus its resources and its energy on your immune system, supporting it for optimal functioning, your reproduction system, so balancing hormones, as well as your digestion, so being able to really break apart and absorb your food or your child's food. And unfortunately, so many people today in our society are living chronically with their nervous system in the sympathetic mode. Now, I'm going to say both of these are very important. In fact, I think they're equally important and they should be balanced in our life. But when we are too far tilted one way, we are losing the benefit of some of the other resources in our body to their fullest extent. So let's go back to what I was talking about up here, right? If the immune system is, if the nervous system is turned on, then that makes the immune system low priority. So when our nervous system is on, immune system is low priority. It's not functioning really well. And remember how I talked about sometimes it can get confused between antigens and allergens, and then things keep reappearing. It's not able to even really sort through this information, and it's being overwhelmed on top of it when our nervous system, when our light switch is flipped on all the time. So what can we do to help flip that light switch off? Well, actually, before I go into that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why It's turned on so often. You know, you may think, well, you know, my child isn't running to save his life. My child isn't in severe threat for his well-being. Why would his nervous system be turned on? Well, excess stimulation, right? So an active environment where there's lots of sounds and lights and noises and tastes and smells can turn someone's light switch on. Also, your thoughts. So the more that you have worried or anxious or uncertain, self-doubting thoughts, mental chatter, what I call, that right there is enough to turn it on. Unfortunately, the nervous system is controlled by what I call the reptilian part of our brain. It's not complex enough to go through rational thinking and say, wait a second, is this really a life-threatening situation, or is this just my own head thinking? It doesn't process that way. It either is on or off, and if there's a perceived threat or perceived worry or perceived fear about something, it flips it on regardless. So even if that worry is really non-reality, it's still going to trigger the light switch to be flipped on. So now knowing that that has the potential to be on at a high number of hours and minutes throughout the day, what can we do to help our children turn their light switch off and strengthen their immune system? Well, some things we can do to help balance their nervous system are simply things like physical touch. The humans crave connection, and oftentimes as little kids, we have no problem giving our kids hugs and cuddles and kisses, but for some reason as they get older, sometimes that just tends to fall off a little bit or lessen. So I would encourage you to give even your older kids hugs, rub their shoulders, see if you can, rub their legs, little things like that where there's literally physical connection. That's a very calming response for the body, especially with the nervous system. Another thing that helps balance out the nervous system is to decrease that artificial stimulation. So like I talked about, artificial lighting is very overpowering. Our eyes take in the most information than any other sense. And when we are inside under artificial lights or looking at blue light from screens, TVs, tablets, phones, all of that is very straining on our eyesight. So getting outside, especially with summer coming up, spending more time outdoors, the natural sunlight is actually the opposite. It's calming of the nervous system and invigorating for the body. So being outside is a great way to spend some time to turn that light switch off and increase the immunity. And finally, like I said, really helping to understand your child's own chatter, maybe kind of talking them through. If there's someone that gets anxious before tests at school, or worries about what their friends are going to say or anything like that, helping them through that and supporting them to kind of release that, allow them to talk it out or to journal or some other way to allow that to kind of release and come out of them. Because the more it stays internal, and even if it's just in their own head, their thoughts are going to trigger that same sympathetic light switch turned on response in their body, which causes the immune function to deteriorate, as well as digestion.